All right, I got a working marker. Venus index. So this is pretty straightforward. It's not too complicated. This is the female version of body measurement stuff. Not overtly complicated. I'm going to give you ballpark numbers, so I don't have a calculator in front of me. But short version is, instead of going by weight or going off of strength measurements or whatever, this is based off measuring. We keep it pretty simple, 2 things, but technically 3 things if we're getting really crazy. All right, so the Venus Index is done based off of art research, fitness models, advertising, all that stuff like that. Believe it or not, the human body looks pretty good in certain proportions, and coincidentally, that's also considered to be the healthy proportions. If you are kind of carrying excessive body fat, you'll drift into unhealthy territory, and you'll also kind of lose your visual appeal. And then if you lose too much body fat, it won't be as visually appealing. There's plenty of research on this, but simultaneously, you'll also start to drift into unhealthy territory due to high stress levels, low body fat levels, that kind of stuff. So instead of kind of winging it and seeing where you are, the Venus Index was created. Pretty cool stuff, look at the history of it. I'm not going to do the history of it too much, but here's the short version. So we're going to make Sally. Sally has, here's Sally's head, there's Sally's hair, and then we're going to have 3 measurements that we're worried about. Worried about shoulder measurements, so here's Sally's shoulders. We're going to have waist measurements, and then we're going to have hip measurements. Like I said, not an artist. But what we're looking to measure, now this is, you're going to have to bear with me here. I'm doing this from kind of guesstimates in terms of body markers. But, so here's Sally, and we're looking to achieve an ideal ratio of shoulder measurement to waist measurement. Waist is not taken at where your pants sit. It's actually taken at the narrowest part of a girl's waist, which typically for most girls is a few inches like below the bra line. It's the narrowest part of your midsection. This is the big key one here, is your waist measurement. If we're really getting technical, you can take a 3rd measurement here, which would be your hip measurement. The reason for this is women carry body fat differently. Some women will carry body fat in their thighs more than their midsection. The shoulder measurement thing is a really good indicator of where you'd want to be in terms of proportion. The short version, the simple version, is just focusing on these 2, and if you want to get more in depth, you can. So we're going to start with healthy, and then after healthy, we're going to progress into aesthetic ideals. The healthiest thing that any woman can do is to get their waistline. Remember, waist is at the narrowest spot. You want to get your waistline to, I'm going to move on this side now, between 43% to 38% of your height. This is the simplest thing you can do to increase your overall health, as well as improve. Obviously, the healthier you get, the healthier you look. The healthier you look, the better you look. So they're not divorced from each other. A lot of people are like, oh, I really don't care about aesthetics. I just care more about health. Great news. The best thing to do is actually try to achieve both. 43% measured here. So I can give you the fast version of this. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but let's say you are, let's see, 72 inches would be 6 foot. We'll do, 65 inches. If a woman is 65 inches tall, she would take her height, 65 inches, and multiply it. So height times, so multiplied by 43% is your healthy waistline. Now, it's important that you remember that number, 38%. If you let your waistline go below 38%, you've officially lost a bit too much body fat. It might be time to put a little bit of your body muscle back on, a little bit of body fat back on even, just because you don't want to be excessively lean. You can start to have some metabolic problems, some endocrine problems, that kind of stuff. Now, so this is number 1. Your waistline is the number 1 thing to worry about. That is the bread and butter. That's 80% of understanding the Venus Index. Coincidentally, if you're trying to achieve a more of an aesthetic look, and that's where the index thing, you may also hear these called venous proportions, you would be looking for, and I'm going to move back to this side, shoulder measurement of 1.6 times your height. I'm sorry, not 1.6 times your height. 1.6 times your waist measurement. So wherever your waist measurement ends up, right, wherever you want your height to be, remember, or your waist to be, so between 43% and 38%. That's our goal, right? So once we hit a waistline that we like, we would try to get our shoulder width measured directly across the meat of your deltoid, the meat of your shoulder, the widest part of your shoulder. You want that to be 1.6 times whatever your waist is, and you would want this number, this is your waist measurement here, the widest part of your waist, typically the widest part of your ass, really, the widest part of your butt, the thick of your glutes, you want to be 1.4 times your waist. The only real time this comes into play is sometimes women will get their waist measurements where they want it to be and still not be super happy with their look, their overall body proportions, and maybe that's because they carry a little bit of excess weight in their hips and their thighs, or maybe they're low in upper body muscle mass, and they have kind of a skinny fat look, and that's where we'll start doing kettlebell training, fasting, that kind of stuff, to get them to 1.6 times their waist measurement. So what that will create, I'm sure you can figure this out by now, that is the classic, there's the shoulder line, hourglass physique. If you were a guy, you would be trying to achieve a V-taper physique, right? That's what makes it, any fancy dress makes you look like you have an hourglass. Any fancy suits makes you look like, there's your suit. Like I said, I'm not a great artist. There's your suit, and there's your dress, right? So, fact, don't worry about your scale, don't worry about all that other stuff. Just try to get your waistline between 43% and 38%, and try to get your shoulders and hips in line after you dial in your waist measurements. That's it.